Borderline personality disorder. This is the Christmas episode of Mr. BPD, Christmas time. That special time of the year where we all get together to have a good old-fashioned coffee. This episode of Mr. BPD, the Christmas special, is sponsored by coffee. That's some damn good coffee. Be sure to go out and buy some so that I get paid. Might as well go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button at the same time. It being Christmas, what do we think about at Christmas? What kind of things could somebody with BPD struggle with more than your just regular run-of-the-mill crazy person? Specifically, individuals with borderline personality disorder, how do they see this holiday? How do they go through this holiday? Is this holiday even triggering? Could it be triggering? For me, Christmas has never been a good time. Ever. And now, I could never enjoy Christmas as an adult, knowing what I know now. Because it's been tainted for me. The biggest lie of my entire life revolves around Christmas. For years and years, I really bought that whole Santa Claus thing. I really believed Santa Claus was real. Truly, truly. Full-heartedly. Of course, everybody believes in Santa Claus when they're a little kid. We all remember that. And then somewhere along the line, we realize that Santa's just a made-up thing to lie to your children. It's probably one of the first lies that parents tell their children is the Santa Claus lie. I truly believed the Santa Claus thing way longer than I should have. Somebody should have stepped in. I mean, I'm graduating high school and I'm still getting into fistfights because people are trying to tell me Santa doesn't exist. And the fact that Christmas, my first thing about Christmas is that it's all in a lie. Christmas is a lie. The Santa Claus thing has tainted it forever. This being the Christmas episode, I'm going to take you way, way back in the time to my first ever Christmas. Yay! Mr. BPD's first ever Christmas spectacular extravaganza! Be honest with you, this wasn't my very first Christmas. I want to tell you that I was 5 years old. Now, the scene would be, there's a man passed out on a couch, while one woman is pleading with another woman to not leave, because this man is faking it, she says. She knows his tricks, she knows he's pissed off. He hasn't passed out, it's way too early to pass out. Has had some grand illusion in his mind of what this Christmas is going to be, how it's going to be. What that illusion is, I'll let you decide. The one woman is pleading to the other woman to not go home, that he won't do anything if she's there. Begging and begging. And with a little bit of a ridiculing laugh, she's off into the night. While a small boy sits on the living room floor playing with his big truck monster playing with his Bigfoot monster truck clock radio that he's just gotten. This kid has a weird obsession with this clock radio, like almost perverted. Basically, the woman was right, the one that had been pleading that she couldn't be left alone. Once her security had left, this passed out individual leaps up off the couch and just starts a whole hell of a raging, alcoholic, violent-induced rampage. Screaming, yelling, throwing of things, breaking of things. Why? The world may never know. There's only one man that may know why he freaked out. In case you haven't figured it out, I happen to be the boy that was playing with the monster truck radio. So my dad is freaking out on Christmas over something. I don't know if he wanted more beer or more people or more... I don't really know. I've never really asked. Never really cared. He was freaking out. Well, my mom snatches me up and takes me into the kitchen. where we hid behind the table. I don't know why we hid behind the table. This makes no sense to me. You run into the kitchen. There's the back door. This place had a back door. And it's open, as far as I remember. Maybe it wasn't open, but the back door is right there. And beside the back door is the table. But the table's in this like nook, because there's a back door and then there's this little nook area where the table sits in. So if you go behind the table, you can't get out the back door. You've trapped yourself in a little area if you go behind the table. Of all the places to go, the table behind it was the worst possible. You can't get out of there. My dad gets into a fight with the Christmas tree, which was quite amusing. After the fight that he lost, he then grabs this big-ass fucking lamp. Now, this was back in the 80s, and we had these killer lamps. Medieval thing. It's a big old ball with a fucking chain on it, and you spin it, and you crack people in the heads with it. Well, we had a lamp that was like that. It was a big old glass lamp, solid as hell, with this chain. My dad comes walking into the kitchen, swinging that motherfucker, and just throws it at us. It sails right through the window. We ducked, luckily. I think my mom pushed me down and fell down. I don't know. We got out of the way. At this point, we decided to try to make a run for the back door. It's way too late. We should have gone out the back door in the first place. I make it out the back door almost. My mom doesn't. My dad ends up dragging her back into the house and beats the living holy hell out of her. And then some cops arrive, and it's only when my dad tries to fist fight one of them that they decide to take him to jail. They were not going to take him to jail because it was Christmas. And since it was Christmas, they couldn't separate a man from his family on Christmas. This is 85. It was way before anybody gave a shit about women. And it's not like he wasn't obviously drunk. Every piece of furniture that we had in the house was destroyed, except for the big truck, monster radio. Yeah. I was so happy about that. So the cops are there. They take my mom into the bedroom to talk to her. My dad goes in the kitchen. I could go wherever. I go back to the bedroom where my mom's talking to the cops, and I ask her, Mom, did Dad break my monster truck radio? No, he hadn't. And then I was happy. I didn't care about anything except that truck radio. Had that been broken, I would have been crying all night long. The house was destroyed. My mom was bleeding, cut up. They weren't going to take him to jail, though. It's Christmas. We don't want to separate a man from his family. The cops are on their way out the door when my dad decides that he really wants to go to jail and decides he's going to fight one of the cops. As they're leaving, they've already told him he's not going to jail. All he had to do was sit there for 2 minutes while they walked out, but he couldn't fucking do that. He couldn't handle that little bit of self-control. He takes a swing at him, and then, yeah, they wrapped him up good and took him off to jail. That's my very first memory of Christmas, ever. That memory is what I associate Christmas with. That one, and then the lie. Well, things are always better in threes, don't you think? They say things come in threes, life events, whatnot. They say if 2 people die, usually a third one will be shortly after. So we're going to leap ahead 10 years. 10 years almost to the day. It is now Christmas Eve, 1995. My mother is cooking the very first Christmas dinner she's ever cooked. Ever. Every Christmas, we've always gone to my grandparents' house where we eat. I believe this was the first year where we were not going over to their house to eat on Christmas. She'd never had to make the Christmas meal. This was her first time doing it. And she was going all out with the turkey, and she actually went out and got the good stuff, the stovetop stuffing. Instead of the generic cheap stuffing, she went with the brand name stovetop. When 2 of my friends unexpectedly stopped by, they stopped by my house because, well, they're not sure if the people at Safeway saw them and are chasing them. Safeway's right up the street, by the way. They're running from Safeway because they had just stolen 10 cartons of Mar Breads. Well, Mar Breads and Camels, 5 of Marbs, 5 of Camels. 10 cartons. One of them took 5 Camels, one of them took 5 Marbs, and they just ran for it. For aiding and abetting in this crime, I get half of the cigarettes. We divvy them up. 3 cartons and a couple stray packs. That's a lot of freaking cigarettes. And at this time, I'm still hiding the fact that I smoke from my mom. But luckily, we have this great place to go smoke. There's an elementary school not too far from my house where you can get on top of the roof. So what do we do this Christmas Eve? We go to the school. And we have this third kid with us, Gerald. I have just met this guy. I don't know him. He's also the one that came up with the cigarette heist. If it wasn't for Gerald, the cigarettes never would have got stolen. Sherman wouldn't be at my house. We wouldn't be at the elementary school. Well, if it wasn't for a girl that I had a crush on, who happened to live right across the street from the school, I never would have discovered that you could get on the rooftop of this school, and we wouldn't be on top of the school right now. There are so many reasons we should not have been on the top of that school. So many things had to have aligned to make this happen. But they all did, and this day we were up on top of that school with Gerald. Just chilling, smoking, talking about stupid kid stuff. While Sherman was doing most of the talking, I had positioned myself so that I could stare right over across the street and keep an eye on this chick's house that I had a crush on. Just hoping that maybe she would decide that this was the time she needed to change in front of her window or something. Never did happen, though. Gerald was getting bored, wandering around aimlessly, when all of a sudden there came a clutter and a ruckus. Gerald had found a ventilation duct that was not secured down very much. It was laying down, but it wasn't. I think it had maybe half of a nut holding it together. All he'd had to do is yank on it and he pulled it up. Well, this led to a bunch of excitement. Gerald was super excited. He finally had something to do. Because right under this ventilation duct was a classroom, where it only takes a foot to pop the ceiling tile out, and it was actually right over the teacher's desk. I mean, how lucky is this? Had it not been over a teacher's desk, we probably would have left. The fact that it just so happened to be right over a teacher's desk, though, well, that meant we could jump down into the classroom. Had the desk not been there, I don't think we would have thought to move a desk to get back up later. We would have just thought we couldn't get down there and we would have gone home. Well, I don't even know how I got talked into this. Well, probably because it was fun as fuck. Next thing you know, we're inside the classroom. And we just lose our minds for some reason. Once we're in the school, we decide that the best thing to do right now is to destroy stuff. Well, this is going to show you how weird I am. Gerald and Sherman start destroying shit. You know, throwing papers, marking on throwing papers everywhere, flipping desks over. There was one of those TV VCR things in the room. They threw that on the ground. Just started making a mess of everything. I, on the other hand, chose to use this opportunity to start going through the teacher's stack of ungraded papers and giving everyone A's. Then I did take a piss on the teacher's desk. My stuff was more of a political statement, though. Even at 15, I had views on the way society was. By changing everyone's grade to an A, I was saying that everyone is created equal and shouldn't be put through this arbitrary system of just regurgitating knowledge that they tell us to regurgitate. That taking a piss on the desk was a cry to the system that it's broken, that it's like warm piss. Sherman and Gerald, on the other hand, they made the statement of, we want to destroy some shit. We were not yet screwed at this point. We could have still left. Then we decided to go further into the school. Well, once we opened the door to the classroom, that set off the silent alarm. We did not realize this at the time. When we'd opened the door, we actually did not go through it. We just opened it, and then we got into an argument on whether we should leave or not. I don't remember who opened the door, but somebody opened the door. The alarm's off. Now we're still in the classroom. We're arguing about if we should continue going through the school or leave. We argue for a good 10 minutes or so, maybe 15. We make the decision to leave. We decide that there's no reason to go back through the ventilation shaft. There happens to be a door that will there just so happens to be a door that'll lead right outside. Gerald opens that door, and we hear, "Freeze, motherfucker!" And he slams the door really quick, looking pale as a ghost, to inform us that the cops are outside. Well, we don't want to believe this. Me and Sherman don't want to believe it. We tell him he's lying. Even though we all heard the "freeze, motherfucker," we panic. What are we going to do? Gerald decides he's going back the way we came. He goes. Before me and Sherman can even start to crawl out this ventilation shaft, he comes back, jumps back down. Tells us the whole building's surrounded. He went and took a look. The whole building's surrounded. We're fucked. Well, we need to get out of this classroom. We figure maybe we can hide if we get out of the classroom. Go through that one door, the one I had told you about, the one that had set off the alarm in the first place. This door leads into the worst hallway ever created when you're trying to get away from the cops. It's a long hallway that runs pretty much the length of the school, connecting one part of the school to another. It's basically a long hallway. A very long hallway. Probably the length of a football field size hallway that then leads to the other section of the school. It is all windows, just glass windows, all the way down the hall. There are cops standing out there. They can see us now as we run into this hallway. We don't think about it. We run out into the hallway. The door we come out of shuts. It automatically locks. So now we're just stuck in this hallway with the cops staring at us. We're staring at the cops are staring at us. They can't get to us though, but we can't go nowhere. We stare at the cops for a good hour, maybe 2, before they finally are able to get into the school and arrest us. They had to wait. They couldn't figure out how we got in. There was no signs of breaking and entering. Nobody decided to go up on top of the school and look if we'd broken in that way. They figured it out later. Since there was no signs of breaking and entering, they could not just go into the school. They had to get permission from the principal. Then they had to wait for the principal to come all the way down there on Christmas Eve with the keys to let them in to arrest us. That's why it took so long. You don't know how shitty it is to be stuck in a really long glass hallway, knowing you're going to be arrested by these cops that are just pissed and staring at you. Needless to say, I don't celebrate Christmas. I do not like Christmas. Christmas is dead to me. I don't blame those that do. If you enjoy Christmas, all more power to you. I have 3 reasons to not like Christmas. Do you like Christmas? I want to hear what kind of Christmas horror stories are out there. I've given you 3 horror stories. You can come up with one, leave me a comment, let me know. It should be entertaining. I have a Patreon page. It only costs $1 and you get access to a good couple hundred videos that are exclusive videos. They're not like YouTube videos. Here, I'll just show you a little bit just to pique your interest. Comedy, horror, action, adventure, thriller, sleigh ride, Christmas movie with a little bit of erotic thriller mixed in between Jason and Michael. Yeah, those two are hot for each other. They like to do it in the boo-boo hole. Yeah, right? For $1, you get that and more. That's the Christmas present that keeps on giving, much like... Never mind, I won't say that last part. Links in the description below. Until next time, ho ho ho, motherfuckers! And of course, keep on keeping on.